And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. Some big news today is that the LA Dodgers have got their man, another frontline starting pitcher for their rotation, this time in the form of Blake Snell, 5 years, $182 million. We'll get into that right now. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and here we go. Well, the big news, Blake Snell, 5 years, $182 million, $52 million signing bonus. There is some more deferred money in the deal. This is becoming a common thing for the Los Angeles Dodgers as they try to move down some of that money to try to keep building out this roster. They're still looking to acquire an outfielder this offseason. They have not closed the door on bringing back Clayton Kershaw. They're still in the running for Roque Sasaki. Of course, there's the Juan Soto elephant out there. And then, of course, they still have to address their bullpen. What are they going to do with their shortstop position? Gavin Lux, what do they do there? Do they make a trade for Devin Williams, send Gavin Lux the other way, bring somebody else in? There was some conversation the previous offseason about them bringing in Willy Adames, but what a move to kick off their offseason, bringing in Blake Snell. Now, if you're a San Diego Padres fan, seeing a guy like Blake Snell, who was on your roster, was great for you guys, won a Cy Young there, ultimately go to a division rival in the Giants last year because he couldn't find a big-time deal last year, and then signs early in free agency to your most hated rival, gotta be a tough day. But for Dodgers fans, this is what you're getting. You're getting a guy when he's right, when he has everything working for him, things are going to go well for him in addition to that. So what I mean by that, his numbers are going to do better when the situation he's in is better. So he's going to be he's not a guy that's usually gone deep in innings in the past. Remember back in his Tampa Bay days, they famously pulled him out early on in a start in the World Series. That didn't exactly go over well and ultimately cost them, in my mind, as far as that series goes. But remember, the owners or the front office there in with the LA Dodgers is a lot of former Tampa Bay Rays executives. So they're very familiar with the body of work of Blake Snell. They're very comfortable with where he is, obviously. You look at where he was when he was with the San Diego Padres, people viewed him as a little bit more of a mercurial talent. What I mean by that is 1 year he'd be great, another year he'd be average at best as a starter and have some injury issues to go along with it. Then he goes to the San Francisco Giants. Now, the road to get there was not easy for him. Remember all the hullabaloo last offseason about how late Montgomery and Snell signed, how poor they started out their season? Well, Snell was able to come out of that tailspin. Montgomery was not. That speaks to the level of performer Snell is as a pitcher. And also, he silenced a lot of the critics that said, hey, a lot of this up and down performance from year to year is a little bit overblown. He's still a very good pitcher. He's able to limit the hard contact. Yes, walks are high, but he is a proven pitcher that can get you outs and limit the damage that gets on base. So Dodgers are really paying a premium here, $36 million. Think back to what Jacob deGrom got from the Texas Rangers. That was obscene money at the time. This is just a hair underneath that. Now, understandably, Jacob deGrom's already missed a year and a half of the time with the Texas Rangers. Rangers, if I had a guess anyway, would still say they would sign that deal right now just because they were that desperate for starting pitching. Dodgers, because their development really hasn't gone much further than what they already had with Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw was their best pitcher for a significant period of time. He's past his prime right now, and they had to turn it over to a next group of pitchers, and those pitchers weren't ready. Injuries, poor performance, all had an impact, but they had to go outside the box and bring in Tyler Glass now. That's their number one. Yamamoto, that's their number two. Ohtani, when he's healthy, will be their number three. Then you're bringing in here Blake Snell, who will be their number four starter. He is that good of a starting pitcher, and he's their number four? And then you're still talking about the possibility of bringing back both Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw. You just brought back Gonsolin. You're starting to build back some of the depth they were famous for in the beginning of their run of this title contention window. Just a great run here by the Dodgers and an absolutely fantastic signing. And the Dodgers are the one team that I believe a signing like this is not going to hamstring them from trying to add the rest of this offseason. They're still going to look to add at least one more impact bat, whether it be Teoscar Hernandez, bringing him back, going out there for Anthony Santander, or going at the top of the market for Juan Soto. It sounds like there is some activity on his market as well. We'll dig into that in just a moment. But as far as the Snell conversation goes, this is a great get for the LA Dodgers. Let us know in the comment section what you think of the deal. Is it too much? Is it just the right amount? Would you, or if you were Blake Snell, would you have gone to a different team? Or would you have gone for a chance to win a World Series in back-to-back years with the LA Dodgers and help them repeat? So that's where I'm at with that as far as the Blake Snell signing for me. LA Dodgers, this is just the rich getting richer. And boy, what a deal for them to be able to get him as their number four starter. You're still talking about a very deep team now in that rotation. Even if they just call up AAA guys for the number five spot in their rotation, say they get no production out of Kershaw or Buehler or whoever else they put in at that number five spot. Say it's just a AAA starter. That's still a 1 through 4 that can beat your 1 through 5 any day, anytime. Just absolutely fantastic job by the Dodgers capitalizing and maximizing that advantage. Not just saying, hey, we realize our starting pitching was starting to falter towards the end of the season. That's why they had to bring in Jack Flaherty. Injuries were a big issue. Ohtani did not pitch last year and still won the NL MVP. Tells you how good of a player he really is. We are watching the best player to ever play the game. I think that is unquestionable, at least in my eyes. I know Babe Ruth in his time, all those kinds of things. But for me, Ohtani is just such a better player. He wasn't pitching at this level and hitting at this level. It was always, Ruth was always either hitting or pitching. He could do both. But to do both at the same time and as effectively as he's done it, Ohtani is just something else. And we're going to see the full repertoire of what he's able to do on both sides of the ball next year. So really excited to see where he goes from here. But what a great get here for the Dodgers. Welcome in, Mark. Appreciate you joining us once again. Greetings. I know quite a few of you guys are joining us once again, have joined us over the past couple of years as we cover the MLB Hot Stove season. If you're new here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. We cover the MLB, NHL, NBA, or the NBA, and the NFL as well. Sorry for the late start tonight, but due to some technical difficulties, luckily, we didn't miss out on the big signing of Blake Snell. So kind of fortuitous there that we were able to do this with you guys. One other bit of news for you guys that are following us here at the Upside. We will do an emergency live tomorrow morning to kind of see how everything has reset itself in the wake of the Blake Snell deal. It's not very often we get a significant signing like this by a player going to a different team rather than his own before Thanksgiving. This just doesn't happen that often. Remember a couple of years back when Edwin Diaz re-signed with the New York Mets for $5 at 100 and change? That's kind of what we're seeing here, except now it's a different team. He's going to a division rival, and boy, oh boy, is this a big-time move for the Dodgers. Paul, welcome in. Appreciate you joining us once again. I know you're a Giants fan. As a Giants fan, I'm already deflated about and about to tune out of the MLB. Okay. I'm going to speak a little truth to you, Paul, and then I'm going to give you a little hope. So bear with me. Try to get through to the hope part. We've seen the writing on the wall now for the better part of the last 3, 4, 5 off seasons. They're not being able to capitalize on the top flight free agent starters, the free agent bats to try to get them to come to San Francisco. When they do get them, it's the Carlos Rodon trying to prove himself on a one-year deal, opting out and going to the New York Yankees. It's the Blake Snells of the world who weren't able to find the big-time money elsewhere and says, hey, I'll take a 1 year plus an option, and then I'll hit free agency. And oh, by the way, the very next year, I'm going to sign for $5,182 with your division rival, the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's Bryce Harper turning you down. It's Manny Machado turning you down. It's Xander Bogaerts turning you down. It's Carlos Correa turning you down, not once, not twice, but 3 different times. It's not been a pretty road here for the San Francisco Giants. And we'll kind of cap this part off with the Aaron Judge of it all. I mean, boy, oh boy, they were right there for him. There was the opportunity for him to be able to sign there, and ultimately, were it not for a phone call from Hal Steinbrenner, I'm pretty sure he would have left New York for San Francisco. But they were able to get things worked out. He wanted to stay Yankee, and finally they were able to get the money to work. But as a Giants fan, Paul, that had to sting. All of these near misses in free agency have to sting. Getting Matt Chapman in free agency rather than some of the other top flight guys out there, the Manny Machados of the world as well. When he went to San Francisco, or when he went to San Diego anyway, just more for you to chew on, more for you to realize on the pieces that missed out on your roster. Now look at that lineup after this stretch of time where you've had Farhan Zaidi as the head of that acquisition or head of that ball club, trying to make that roster. How does your roster look today? Do you have a Barry Bonds level player in the middle of that lineup for other teams to fear? No. Is there even a Buster Posey in that lineup for you to say, hey, that guy can get on base, he's the leader of our team, he's our clubhouse leader, he has everything we want on both sides of the ball, and he handles our pitching staff? Do you have that in your lineup? No. It's there's just not much there, my friend. I mean, it's bleak. And I get the comment here, deflated about to tune out of MLB. It's not been pretty, and I don't think it's going to be pretty for a little bit. You got a couple of nice prospects that you're pinning your hopes on right now, but beyond that, there's not a whole lot there. You got a good international free agent last year. Understandably, got injured. Hopefully, you'll have a good second year in Major League Baseball, but outside of that, it's looking pretty rough out there. Now, here's the silver lining. Buster Posey is back in that front organization, back in that front office, and helping to run things. I'm sure he's going to have a big voice in how he sees this roster being reformulated, how they're going to work things out. And I believe that Buster Posey, given time, will have a better eye for acquiring talent and have a better rapport with players to bring them to San Francisco than at any point in Farhan Zaidi's career. And so I think that's got to bode a little bit better for you guys, San Francisco Giants fans. The other part is you got a ton of money that you guys are sitting on. You had better give it to somebody. You better overpay for somebody, get him to sign there. And I'm not talking about overpaying for the 20th best free agent in the class. I'm talking about getting a top 5, top 10 talent there and saying, hey, we'll pay you an extra $5 million per season to make sure you're a linchpin in our organization for the next 7 to 10 years. That absolutely has to happen. Coming into the year, we all thought that Juan Soto was going to hit free agency and that the San Francisco Giants would be one of the first teams in line to try to acquire him. We don't even talk about them in the conversation for Juan Soto right now. We talk about the Yankees, we talk about the Mets, and until today at least, we talked about the Dodgers. Now we're talking a lot about the Blue Jays, and we'll get into just a moment, the Red Sox, which are making a real push to bring him in. The Giants are nowhere in that conversation, and that is something for Giants fans to chew on. Now, back to the Blake Snell arguments here. Where do we fall, or where does things stand now that Blake Snell is off the board? The top pitcher coming into the offseason was Corbin Burnes, and Blake Snell might have a better ceiling, if you will, better strikeout numbers, all those kinds of things at times. But for, I think the average value of his contract was always going to be bigger, but I think the length was always going to be less. Corbin Burnes, I believe, is going to get a 7-year deal quite easily in this free agency period. I think he's going to do very well in free agency. The Mets are said to be right there. The Blue Jays, the Orioles are in there as well. The Yankees, of course. All the top teams are in the market for a guy like Corbin Burnes. Now, with the number coming in at 36.4 for Blake Snell here to the Dodgers, we were expecting something in the neighborhood of like $30 million over 7. I would expect that number to inch closer to probably that 35 number at this point over 7 years. So, looking at the teams that are out there, a lot of teams have money to be able to throw at Juan Soto, and then maybe add a couple of pieces. There's not a whole lot of teams that can add a guy like Juan Soto and still bring in another huge chunk to the payroll in Corbin Burnes. And some of those teams are in the running there. You're looking at the Blue Jays that have some money that they could burn. The Red Sox as well. They have a lot of money that they have flexibility in. The Orioles are trying to get something done with Burnes, and then they still have to add another starting pitcher after that. So they're going to have a little bit more financial flexibility. But that's where things are at with Corbin Burnes. Because Blake Snell is off the board, his number goes up just a little bit as the top flight option out there. The Red Sox, however, are pivoting to another option in Max Fried. I thought this was the piece all along for them. I thought he would easily fit in there as their number one right now. They really need a top flight starter in there. Now, whether they go the Fried route or the trade route, or if they go for a Corbin Burns, remains to be seen, or if they even win the Juan Soto sweepstakes. But to get a starting pitcher is number one priority for me if I'm the GM of the Red Sox. I think it's Craig Breslow right now is in there, kind of running things as well. I'm really curious to see what the Red Sox are going to do. For the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years now, they've really operated much like they had wanted to years and years and years ago. Remember, back in the day, they were the team that wanted to steal Billy Beane from the Oakland A's, and basically he said, no, I'm good out here in Oakland. They were able to patch things up out there at that time. But they were really adamant about trying to get their payroll numbers under control, and that was when they were competing for World Series. Now they're no longer doing that. They're trying to improve their roster around the peripheries as best they can, but they don't go after the top flight free agents anymore, much like the New York Yankees still do from time to time. They're a lot more reticent to try to invest their money in free agency. Looking at the free agent class this year, I'm a little bit surprised that they're actually willing to go out there and spend money, not only just for a starting pitcher, but it sounds like the new news from John Heyman tonight anyway, is that they are very much in the market for Juan Soto. Not just by, hey, we're doing lip service, we'd like to see how we match up. Maybe if you're interested in coming for 55-ish million as opposed to, or the coming in for $5 million under what your full market value is, we might give you an extra year. That, instead of it being something like that, it seems like they are very much in there with the market value that the rest of the teams are at. So this is a very much a 4-team race, I believe, for Juan Soto. The one team that I'm dipping out of this conversation to some extent is the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it's primarily because of the Blake Snell sweepstakes. I'm not saying they're out of it completely. I still think with the money deferred by Shohei Ohtani, if he says, hey, sign Juan Soto, it's getting done right then and there. That's just the way it is. I mean, the Dodgers, they're all in on the Shohei Ohtani business. In case you're wondering how much money they're making because they brought in Shohei Ohtani, every single financial projection that the LA Dodgers had before they signed Shohei Ohtani and how big of a boon it was going to be to their organization, they ripped up before they got halfway through the season. He is worth that much money in that market that the LA Dodgers couldn't even scoop it in as quick as it was falling on them. That's how good things are going for the Dodgers right now when it comes to money. That's why they were able to sign and bring in Glasnow and Yamamoto. They signed Teoscar Hernandez last offseason to a 1-year deal. Now they go out in free agency this year and spend $182 million more on Blake Snell, and they're not done. They're still looking to add at least a couple pieces of that bullpen. They're going to have another big expenditure in that outfield. They're looking to bring in Sasaki. Things are getting crazy out there financially for the Dodgers. And you think about, what's the phrase I'm looking for? I can't think of the phrase. One of the radio guys was saying it on the radio the other day. But Steve Cohen's money. You have the kind of money. Okay, now I remember the phrase. They've got blank you money. I'll let you figure out what that means. Basically, hey, I can do what I want and go away. I got what I want to go for now. Steve Cohen has that kind of money in baseball. There's not many owners in the entire sport that are able to say the same thing. And I would say there's very few that are even able to make a claim that they would be considered in that class. To me, Steve Cohen was in a world on his own as far as having the depth of money to invest in that roster the way he wanted to spend it, and nobody else could say jack about it. Now the LA Dodgers can do the same thing because of bringing in Shohei Ohtani did that much for them financially. Not to mention they deferred the money on Shohei, so they're even more indebted to Shohei to say, hey, thanks for making us all this money. We're saving money now. Let's go ahead and capitalize this and make a true dynasty. We haven't had a dynasty in Major League Baseball in 20 years at this point? I mean, sure, we have teams of like the late aughts anyway, with the Astros winning a couple World Series in there. We have a couple of like the Red Sox were 4 years apart in their World Series championships. I mean, we don't really have a back-to-back champion since the Yankees? I think would be the last one. And that's 20 years ago. And so the Dodgers are trying to be the first team to repeat since then. And with the way they're spending money, with the way that roster is built, as long as they fill the holes in that bullpen, and as long as they add one more bat to that lineup, Doesn't have to be a Juan Soto. Doesn't even have to be a Teoscar Hernandez, but just a competent bat to that lineup. I think we're talking about a repeat opportunity on the National League side for the Dodgers. Now, the Phillies are still going to give them an argument. The Braves are still going to give them an argument. Padres to some extent, but the Dodgers by far have the best rotation 1 through 5, and it's not close. There is deferred money in the SNELL deal too. Yes, there is, Paul. Let me go ahead and flip over to our Twitter page just so you can kind of follow along here. Let's go ahead and update the page for you guys. All right, Bob Nightingale just tweeted out the LA Dodgers annual CBT for Blake Snell with a signing bonus and deferrals will be $32 to $33 million. Official with direct knowledge say compared to the $36.4 million AAV for Snell. Now remember, they're spending a lot of money on Blake Snell, but they have to worry about that competitive balance tax because Shohei Ohtani deferred that money in that $700 million contract. There is still a significant portion of that counts towards the CBT calculations. They are well over it, and they figure to go even further into that. Remember how Steve Cohen was going to have a $200 million tax bill just for how much he was over as far as salary? I think we're looking at a very similar situation in LA next year. Now, as long as they keep winning, as long as they're still raking in the money, I don't think they have one thing to say about it. I think they're going to be very happy to win title after title after title if they're able to do so. I spoke last week about the Heatles back in the early 2010s when they were saying not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. With the LA Dodgers, I told you guys this could very well be that opportunity for Major League Baseball to have a team, an evil empire for every team to be gunning for. This team collects all the talent. They're the big bad guys out there, even though these guys are all really great and coming from the Red Sox and the Braves and the Angels, and now you got the Padre and Giant in Snell. All these guys coming out there to the West Coast, and now they're the big bad guy on the block, and every team is going to want to be gunning for them. Just like the Heatles were in the early 2010s, I think that's what we're going to see for Major League Baseball with the LA Dodgers. They are going to be that formidable. I expect them to add a Teoscar Hernandez or an Anthony Santander, but if they go out there and go at the top of the market for a Juan Soto, forget about it. We're just go ahead and give them the NL trophy. The World Series is the only question for me at that point. I understand the Phillies are trying to do some significant things. We've talked about them trying to add an outfielder if they bring in a Juan Soto or if they bring in a Willy Adames or an Alex Bregman. They trade a Bohm, they trade a Castellanos. However they shake up their roster is going to pale in comparison to what the Dodgers are able to throw out there on the field every single day. As long as that rotation stays healthy, they should be an argument to be the best team ever in baseball history. They could possibly challenge for the wins record in Major League Baseball. That's how good of a team I'm expecting out of the Dodgers next year. And like I said, they are not done. They still need to solve that bullpen. They could trade for a guy like Devin Williams and still bring back a Trinan or go out there and add another closer-type pitcher, a Tanner Scott out there. There's a lot of opportunities to improve that bullpen. Going for one of the guys that was non-tendered, a Jordan Romano, somebody like that would be another good get for them. Dodgers are going to figure out that bullpen. They always do. The question is their starting pitching always seemed to falter due to injury the last several years. They are solidifying that as best they possibly can. They say, hey, we have 3 starters go down. We got 3 Hall of Fame level starters ready to go in our rotation when those other 3 go down. So they already have a great 1 through 4. They could have a great 1 through 5, 6, or 7 if they bring back Kershaw or Buehler or Sasaki. They have a lot of chips still in play, and they're not going to fold their hand. Things are looking good for them. I'm excited to see where things lie going forward. There are no opt-outs in the deal, according to John Heyman. There is also a no-trade clause as well with a trade kicker if he does get traded. Deal is pending a physical. That makes sense. You don't want to spend that kind of money and then just have him blow his arm because of something you missed in his medical, and then you're stuck on the hook for $182 million. As much as money as they're making there out there in LA, you're not exactly looking to get rid of it for nothing. So you want to protect yourself a little bit. Let's go ahead and refresh just to see if anything else is popping. At the moment, doesn't look like it. Yankees had a Zoom call with Blake Snell just today, but their near total focus is on Juan Soto. Their plan Bs need to wait a bit. Ooh, Yikes. That's a little scary, though, if I'm a Yankees fan. The Yankees are fully interested in bringing back Juan Soto. That part makes sense. Every single one of their plan Bs are on hold? What are we talking about here? You're the New York Yankees. Why are they on hold? Why are you letting other teams go out there and sign the free agents that you have interest in while you wait for Juan Soto's answer? Can you not walk and chew gum at the same time? This is the New York Yankees we're talking about. Now, I understand they're not the George Steinbrenner Yankees. This is a more fiscally responsible team. This is a team that says, we don't necessarily have the money to sign a Juan Soto, yet they're trying to spend whatever they can to try to bring him back. I mean, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too by saying, "Hey, we'll play the poor guy. We're going to be fiscally responsible. We're not going to go out there and do the Steve Cohen and overspend everybody. Baseball can be won without doing that. We need to be competitive. Baseball teams like the Tampa Bay Rays go with a budget of $100 million and they still get in the postseason. All those kinds of things. Those are the arguments the New York Yankees are trying to sell us for why they can't go out there and sign a Juan Soto and still be able to get their priorities done in free agency, adding a starting pitcher, adding a few relievers to that bullpen. Come on now, Yankees. We can do a little bit better." And John Heyman here, the second sentence of his tweet there, "But the near total focus is on Juan Soto. Their plan Bs need to wait." Plan B and Blake Snell, he wasn't waiting. 5 years, 182, gone. I doubt you're going to be able to bring in Corbin Burnes. I think if he's going to go to one of the AL East teams, I'd pretty much pick any of the other three teams ahead of Corbin Burnes. They still need to bring in some relief pitchers. Those are some of the names that could fly off as quickly as next week ahead of the winter meetings. You're going to wait until Juan Soto signs? At the earliest, he's not signing until the winter meetings. I just don't believe that the Yankees are doing themselves any favors here by saying, "Hey, hold up, everybody. We're going to wait for Juan Soto and figure out where the landscape lies in baseball after that, whether we sign him or not." Yankees fans, let your Yankees front office hear about it. Because for me, I mean, this is the New York Yankees. I get it. George Steinbrenner's not around. It's a different age, etc. You're still the freaking Yankees. Let's get our act together, people. Like, Aaron Judge is your star player. You have some really good pieces on that roster as far as that starting rotation. But that lineup needs help. If you don't bring back Juan Soto, you better not be waiting around for nothing. I mean, you better be ready to act. And that bullpen, that should already be a point for you to address. If you're saying, if we sign Juan Soto, we can't bring in Tanner Scott, we can't go out there and bring back Clay Holmes, we have to play poor and go the trade route for a guy like Devin Williams and via the Milwaukee Bucks or the Milwaukee Brewers anyway, not the Bucks. That's basketball. But if you're telling me that you're that tied up financially in Juan Soto that you can't bring in those relief pitchers at $10 to $15 million a year, bringing in David Robertson, bringing him back as a 7th, 8th inning option with some closing experience, who's pitched in that New York market not once, not twice, but 3 different times in his career. Come on now, Yankees. Let's do better. All right. John Heyman, Dodgers do not appear to be out of Juan Soto even now. Hard to see them as a favorite, however. Even this juggernaut of a team with a great business model and huge revenue has to have limits? No. I think this one is purely conjecture by John Heyman. A lot of supposeds and speculation in there, not a whole lot of data, but it does tell us the feeling around the industry is that they have money and they're going to spend it. They just might not spend it at the level of Juan Soto. So, just like me here, I don't have a source inside the camp for a Juan Soto or the Dodgers, but I can kind of read the tea leaves as well. So I agree from that standpoint. But we're talking about the LA Dodgers. This is a team that's been spending and they're making money hand over fist. We don't even know how good of a year the Dodgers just had financially. We'll find that out soon enough. But I expect them to fully be in there. If Juan Soto says tonight that he wants to go there and Shohei signs off on it, he's going to be a Dodger. It's just the way it's going to be. Alrighty. Phillies looking to shake up their roster. We mentioned that in the episode last night about Bregman and Willy Adames. $52 million signing bonus. We mentioned that already. Alrighty, so here's the rotation options from Bob Nightingale. Yamamoto, Snell, Ohtani. Glasnow, possibly Kershaw. May, Gonsolin, Bobby Miller. That is a very, very good rotation. Now, Remember, if they bring in a Kershaw or a Bueller, or if they bring in a Sasaki, then you're talking about a guy like Bobby Miller, who had his struggles last year, that you could easily turn around and pivot in a trade. Whether it be for a Devin Williams or another relief pitcher out there, they are going to have their pick of whatever reliever they want to go for. They have the flexibility as far as prospects and major league talent on their roster right now, young major league talent, that they can peddle to try to acquire a relief pitcher, a dominant relief pitcher that could solidify that bullpen. So they are not done. Fine Sand, Snell's deal also includes a limited no trade, no surprise there. Let's go ahead and flip over to MLB trade rumors and just see if anything else is happening here. More about the Blake Snell deal. Looks like Hee-Sung Kim is going to be posted next week. A lot of international talent coming over this year. A lot of international talent making an impact in Major League Baseball the last couple of years. So I'm expecting this year's class to be even better. One note on the Boston Red Sox, that they have pivoted to Max Fried. I mentioned that the Juan Soto argument, or the Juan Soto chase for them, is not dead. In fact, it's very much alive, according to John Heyman. For those of you that are Red Sox fans, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Do you agree with them bringing in a guy like Max Fried? Would you have rather gone after a Corbin Burns or a Blake Snell? But it seems their top priority is Max Fried. Then, as far as a bat, you already had a great year from Abreu. You've got another young guy coming in the outfield as well. You still need to bring an impact bat to that lineup. There is no bigger impact bat than a Juan Soto. My only question is, where does he fit in the outfield for you? And what does this mean after you bring him in? Does that mean you've now spent your entire money that you're going to use in free agency for the next 5, 6, 7 years and just go back to the drawing board like you have been? Or is this a different time for the Boston Red Sox? Are the days of them trying to act like the A's and Rays finally gone? The Red Sox were best when they invested every single year trying to compete with the Yankees. That's when baseball was at its best. When we saw Sunday Night Baseball, even though we saw the Red Sox and Yankees 8 different times a year on Sunday Night Baseball, you bet you those games were great. And understandably, those are 4-hour games. It's not going to be that way with the changes Major League Baseball has made. But, boy, Red Sox, I really hope you finally get your act together. Yankees, stop playing poor. And like I said, we'll be live for you guys early tomorrow morning. We'll probably be live around 9 a.m. Central Time, going over all the fallout from the Blake Snell deal. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I appreciate you guys taking the time and joining us for this late pod. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.